of the orbital Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower. Discovery's 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
going on, everybody? Good morning. Happy Friday Eve. We're back for another stream. Another day of covering the news. Always so much news to cover. Let's see. I'm having a pretty rough morning, but we're here. We're ready to go. They shut off our water again for the second day in a row. It looks like we've had a large water main break again for like the third time in my apartment complex, which is awesome. We've lived over here for like 4 years, and I want to say like every 3 months there's some type of water issue, which just it's so goddamn annoying. So I wasn't able to take a shower this morning. I feel disgusting. My autism is off the charts right now. I feel like I'm crawling in my skin, but hopefully it'll be back on by about 2, and I'll get off the stream and I'm just gonna literally just go take a bath, and I'm just gonna go soak in the water, and hopefully I'll feel better. Anyhoozle, not much has been happening with me over the last 2 days. We made Twitch affiliate this week. So give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you again so much for your support. I really appreciate it. People are finding us online. Things are moving. The wheels are going. If you know anybody that's interested in politics and news, bring them on in here. Tell them to come hang out and chat. I want to hear what y'all have to say, what y'all are thinking about, the news stories that are interesting you. And how you feel about what's going on. I also made YouTube. I made it into the YouTube partnership program. So I had planned on doing long form content on there. Hopefully starting the process this weekend. Maybe getting my first episode out either in April or May, and then hopefully doing one episode a month. I'm not gonna try and overextend myself. I got a lot of stuff going on, but I really do want to start deep diving into some other things and trying to get more in depth. Yeah. So that's cool. That's fun. Some fun things happening. Okay, we're gonna jump right in. I left off on Tuesday with a lot of headlines left to go over down here, but I'm kind of annoyed at the process of using Google Docs. It is nice, but it takes so long to like put all the links into one thing and then have them all separated. So today we're just going to try and go through bookmarks and things that I've been saving over the last few days just to talk about. Hopefully I can kind of keep it concise. But we'll see how it goes. Obviously big news stories from yesterday, from Tuesday, yesterday and this morning. Trump gave a speech last night. Didn't really ease anyone's fears. The S&P market cap dropped $500 million in the 25 minutes that he gave his speech. But of course, oil crude went through the roof. We're up over, I believe, 108 a barrel, which is no bueno, very high, very bad. I filled up for the first time in like a month yesterday. What day was it? Monday. And it was like 403 a gallon. Now I use this thing called Upside, which gives you money back on however many gallons you purchase. And they vary by location. They vary by the time of day that you fill up and whatnot. But you get money back. So it's kind of like being a part of a, savings program at your local gas station, or, where you might get 10 cents off. But I get it back in cash, which I like better. So that, it was my first time filling up in like a month. I was just like, holy shit. It was double what it cost me the last time to fill up. It was like $44 to fill up my Corolla, which is, you know, I think it has like an 11-gallon tank or a 10-gallon tank. It's nothing big. So anyway, we're feeling that. Everyone's feeling the prices go up. You know, we got diesel going up. Diesel is affecting all of our food prices, eggs, beef, all those, milk prices. Everything is up right now. And according to forecasts, it's only going to get worse. Even if we pull out of Iran right now, prices will not go down immediately. It will take time. And other countries are dealing with issues from the Strait of Hormuz more than we are. And we import a lot of our food from other countries. So we're going to be feeling it. Everyone's going to be feeling it. All right, let's dive in. One of the things I did want to cover, and you may have caught it from the lead-in song for today. It had a little bit of some space vibes to it. Yesterday was the blast-off of Artemis 2, launching towards the moon for the first time in 53 years. So that's pretty crazy. We got 11-day total mission. The crew will get 5,000 miles from the moon's surface. They'll sleep two 4-hour periods. So I don't know if that's, I guess, per day. I would imagine they're not going to do 2 4-hour periods over 10 days. On day 2, Orion engines will accelerate the spacecraft to escape velocity and send them toward the moon. On days 3 and 5, the crew will fine-tune and approach the moon. Day 6 is when the crew flies by the moon. They'll be about 25,000 miles from Earth. Days 6 and 7, the crew will fine-tune their approach back to Earth. And on day 10, the crew will put their proper suits and get ready for re-entry. Now, I don't really know why the suits have to change. If that shit goes wrong, I don't think the suits are going to save anybody. But, you know, I guess better safe than sorry. They'll re-enter Earth's atmosphere at 25,000 miles per hour. That's pretty fast. 2 parachutes will slow the capsule down to 17 miles per hour. They will splash down off the coast of San Diego. So here's the video of the rocket going off yesterday. This is the most expensive rocket ever fired on Earth at an estimated cost of $44 billion. $44 billion. It is pretty cool, though. It is pretty cool. I don't know how they do it. I honestly don't. I can't even do roller coasters. There's no possible way I can handle it. Now, 25,000 miles an hour on re-entry. I'm pretty sure that's 25 G's. Let's see. Let's find out. How many G's is 25,000 miles per hour? A mile an hour to G-force calculator. This says 4.5 G's for the AI. Come on, homie. Let's go. No? We don't get to click things anymore? Pages don't work? The fuck is this? What the hell's happening? There we go. Jeez Louise. All right, 25,000. Radius of curve? I don't fucking know. Please fill out that. What? Okay, so easily convert mile per hour to G-force using our mile an hour G-force calculator. Learn the formula, how it works, and how much 1 G-force is. Okay, how do I figure out the curvature? Is that the 9.81? All right, let's do 9.81. Even though I don't know if that's right, but danger, no way. 1.2 million. Okay, that's wrong. Now, here's a funny story. I actually was going to go to college to become an aerospace engineer and design rockets and aircraft to fly into space. And then I got to physics. I got to physics class and realized, oh, I'm a fucking moron. Got it. Math and me, we do not get along. Math and me, we are acquaintances, mere passerbys in the night, but we do not have any kind of relationship. So, we'll go with the AI. Oh, here we go. It finally opened up. Okay, safe. How do I figure it out? Calculate G-force. Oh, I gotta find initial velocity, final velocity, direct conversion. Bro, I don't know any of this shit. What the fuck? Does anyone know math? Can anyone help me figure this out? Because I want to figure out how many G's 25,000 miles per hour is. Meters per second. Miles per hour. Okay. Let's do not 0.2. Let's do 25,000. Final velocity. Charlotte. That's not right. Let's just say it's 25,000 again. I don't know. Or not 35. 25. 25,000. Duration, what is that, 3 minutes? I don't know. 0 G's. Okay. Well, looks like I don't understand what the fuck is going on, but I never claimed to know math or how it works. Anyway, 25,000 miles an hour is very fucking fast. Guy Fieri. This is Guy Fieri's photo? I didn't even know he was into fucking rockets. Okay. I don't know if y'all have seen the Bosch commercials too, where he looks like a normal human being and not Guy Fieri, and it's wild. It's actually kind of not scary, but it's just like, what? This is what this man looks like if he was just like normal and didn't have bleached tips, or like completely bleached hair, and that goatee. I mean, no one can pull off that goatee except Guy Fieri, straight up. Now, let's look at this post, because this post kind of breaks it down, and kind of how ridiculous this mission is, right? We haven't gone to the moon in 53 years. It's been a long-ass time, but there's been really no, like, public support for this, right? People haven't been, like, clamoring, like, oh, we need to go to the moon. But now you have all these billionaires that are basically like, oh, we need to get to Mars. In order to get to Mars in a reasonable amount of time, for a reasonable amount of money, having a moon base, 53 years if you believe we were there in the first place. I mean, Stanley Kubrick is a great director. But yes, I do believe we were there in the first place. I do believe that we went. I believe. I can't prove it. But I do have a high suspicion that we actually did go there. I love hearing people's like conspiracy theories. They're like, well, how did they film it? How did they have a camera there already? They had a camera already set up. And I was like, it's like, no, dude, it came off the fucking lander, bro. Like, it was just like on an arm and extended out. I was like, hello. Here you go. Get a little selfie. Um, and they're like, oh, the what was the other one? What's the other one? Like the flag moves when the jet takes off, when the blast takes off, and it's like, yeah, it's like a rocket taking off. In zero G, right? There's no gravity or whatever, so it's like blowing that shit out. I don't know. I think it's pretty crazy, the conspiracy theories. I don't know why anyone would think we didn't go to the moon. Although I do love one of my favorite musicians, Christian Lee Hudson, has a line in one of his songs, and it always makes me laugh. And it's, we sent a man to the moon in a trash can. And I mean, honestly, we did. Oh no, auto modded. Robbie, you got auto modded. I'll allow it. That's crazy. You got, dude. You got. I have to believe it. We hated the Russians so bad, we would have destroyed the country if that's what it took to get to the moon. For sure. Mods like the Russians. Confirmed. I didn't even know that word was blocked. That's so weird. I have like 2 words blocked. The N word and the F word. And not fuck. The other F word, the other F slur. That's pretty much it. So I don't know why that one got you flagged, but that's pretty crazy. But yeah, we did. We hated the Russians so bad, and they beat us on everything. They beat us to orbit. They beat us to the moon technically by doing a fly around first. We just landed on the moon first. That was pretty much it. That's the only thing we really beat them on. But that was kind of like, and I mean, we set the goal. So it was like, oh, we accomplished our own goal, so therefore we beat the Russians. I don't know. We're cheaters. We're a bunch of whiny little bitches. But let's look at this guy's post. The countdown clock started 2 hours ago for a $4.2 billion 10-day trip where nobody gets out of the car. Artemis 2 will fly 4 astronauts around the moon and back. No landing, no orbiting. A flyby. So we just go around the moon once. I believe they get the inertia and then they come back. So I don't know what constitutes orbiting. I would imagine you have to go around like more than a few times. But I think they just go around either like once and then they come back. The last time humans did something similar was Apollo 8 in 1968, when the entire Apollo program's per mission cost adjusted for inflation was roughly $2.8 billion. NASA is now spending 50% more per launch to repeat a less ambitious version of a mission it pulled off 58 years ago. So that's pretty crazy. The math on this rocket is staggering at every level. SLS has cost $29 billion in development since 2011. Add Orion at $13.8 billion. Add ground systems. Total bill before a single astronaut boards north of $44 billion. The rocket was supposed to launch in 2016 for $5 billion. It launched its first uncrewed test in 2022 for $20 billion. The crew mission arrives in 2026 at a per-launch cost the Trump administration's own budget called grossly expensive. And this is somebody who wants to spend $200 billion on a war that we don't need to fight. They're calling it grossly expensive. But obviously it doesn't further their capital consolidation, right? Now compare SpaceX Falcon 9, fuck Elon Musk, but the Falcon 9 cost $67 million per launch instead of what was it 4.2. That's 63 Falcon 9 launches for the price of one SLS. SpaceX internal cost per year reused launch is closer to $15 million, which means NASA could fly 289 Falcon 9 missions for what it costs to send 4 people on a 10-day loop. SpaceX flew 165 orbital missions in 2025 alone. SLS has flown twice total across its entire existence. The heat shield is the part that should keep you up at night. Okay, this I did hear about, and it's kind of, this is one of the other reasons why I would never, I mean, obviously I could never do it. I would never qualify as an astronaut. I'm not smart enough. I am not like cool enough emotions wise to do that job. Like, you have to be on another level. Like you have to be the most neurotypical person, I think, to be able to like survive going to space, right? Artemis 1's heat shields spalled so badly during re-entry that NASA spent years investigating. Their solution? Fly the same heat shield design but change the re-entry angle to a steeper trajectory. The crew will hit Earth's atmosphere at 25,000 miles per hour, temperatures exceeding 5,000 degrees, with a shield design that already failed its only test. Wednesday at 6:24 Eastern, 80% favorable weather, 4 humans in a capsule built on shuttle-era engineering, riding the most expensive rocket ever constructed, testing a heat shield that cracked the last time. The Apollo astronauts did this with slide rules and 4 kilobytes of RAM. 4 kilobytes of RAM. My computer has 32 gigs of RAM, and it can barely run web pages. I can barely run Baldur's Gate 3. We're doing this with $44 billion in a prayer. So, anyway, that's some fun news to think about. Artemis 2. We'll be watching that 10 days from now. So what's that? Next Saturday, I think. They come back in for re-entry. So hopefully all goes well for those guys. They come back just fine. I don't even know who's on the flight. Let's see. I think this video said something about it.
The Artemis 2 mission is a test mission of the Orion space capsule.
Artemis 2 will be the first time we put humans on this rocket.
Oh, cool.
We're going back to the moon because it's the next step in our journey to Mars.
We were always going to the moon.
Pushing ourselves to explore is just core to who we are. That's a part of being a human.
And liftoff. We shall return.
Continuing to test out every bit of Orion.
Coming back to Earth, 7 miles a second.
When humanity sets big goals, we can bring together genius from around the world.
You have the best people on planet Earth putting this vehicle together.
That's what's up.
To innovate for the benefit of humanity and to inspire the world through discovery.
And here we go.
Well, we'll see what happens next week when they get back on, I think, Saturday. So, yeah. Okay, this morning we have Trump administration will enforce a 25% tariff on finished steel and aluminum products in the midst of a worsening energy crisis. So that's cool. That's fun. More tariffs on manufactured products.
You can, again, save it.
This is Ron Johnson. He's a senator. I don't remember from where. I don't really care because he's a fucking tool bag. I was disappointed in the Supreme Court justices. The Constitution is not a suicide pact. Maybe their ruling will be on law and Constitution, but you have to look at the bigger picture here. He's talking about the SAVE Act, but I think more importantly right now in this video, he's talking about, and they haven't ruled on it yet, but they did start hearing oral arguments about overturning the 14th Amendment, which I don't even understand why it's going before the Supreme Court, because they can't overturn an amendment. It would have to be amended by 2/3 of the states, and then go through Congress and go through the amendment process. So the Supreme Court can't even save them from this happening.
The plate. Let's make sure that we can, again, save this country, secure our elections, secure our border. I was disappointed the Supreme Court, the justices there. I mean, this is using the Constitution. It's not a suicide pact. And unfortunately, the justices, maybe their ruling will be on the law and on the Constitution, but you have to look at the bigger picture here. What is happening with China, with the tourism, birthright citizenship tourism, this is going to destroy this country. Creating
tourism,
all these,
birthright,
millions of
citizen
voters
tourism.
that will obviously not be voting in the best interest of America. So we have to understand exactly what the left is doing, what communist China is doing, and we need to act now to prevent that.
What does China have to do with anything to do with this? At all. China doesn't give a fuck about our elections. I don't think we have any credible evidence that China has tried to interfere in our elections. Russia has, 100%. And you have Trump and Tulsi Gabbard acting as Russian assets. So that should worry you. Also, Trump's wife, Melania, had Barron here. Melania is an immigrant, right? Barron is an anchor baby. So he's literally talking about his own son. He's trying to get his own son's birthright overturned. I mean, I don't understand it. And yesterday, let's see. Let's go. I'll try and find the video of John Sauer or Matt Sauer. God, there's so much to talk about, dude. There's so much. This is why I can't. This just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? I have to put this in some type of like. I have to put it in some type of like doc to go through all of these links. There's no way I can just like skim through this and just be like, oh, move from thing to thing, because there's so much. It's all over the frickin' place. I gotta find a good way to do this. But what I do want to look at is let's check this out. This. So this is, John Sauer. He's U.S. Solicitor General. He's one of the guys that's giving the, he's arguing for the Trump administration to overturn this birthright citizenship amendment that they're trying to change. This is him being asked about Native Americans, okay? If anyone in this country is a citizen, would it not be Native Americans? Right? They have established domicile here longer than any of us, longer than anyone. Let's listen to this fucking asshole talk.
Do you think Native Americans today are birthright citizens under your test and under your friend's test?
I think so. I mean, obviously they've been granted citizenship by statute.
Put aside the statute. Do you think they're birthright citizens?
No, I think the clear understanding that everybody agrees in the congressional debates is that the children of tribal Indians are not birthright citizens.
I understand that's what they said, but your test is the domicile of the parents, and that would be the test you'd have us apply today, right?
Yes. So if a tribal Indian, for example, gives up allegiance to...
Born today, birthright citizens.
I think so on our test. Yeah, if they're lawfully domiciled here.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I have to think that through. But that's my reaction.
I'll take the yes. That's all right.
What a fucking ghoul, bro. So he's saying that the tribal chiefs and the adults, I guess, are citizens, but their children wouldn't be, even though they were born to U.S. citizens on U.S. soil. Does that make sense to anyone? That makes zero sense to me that they wouldn't be citizens. The 14th Amendment also, as Trump stated, I mean, he was right about what he did state, that it was created for the children of slaves. And really didn't apply to the Native Americans because at that time in the mid-1800s, we were still basically like colonizing the West and dealing with all of that. So it's like, we were still kind of like at war with certain tribes and forcing them to sign treaties that we were constantly reneging on and all of these things. So it really does have to do a lot with the children of slaves mainly. But how could you say that Native Americans aren't citizens? It literally makes no sense to me. I don't understand that at all. All right, let's talk about Trump from yesterday. Just some of the awesome things that he said about Somalis in the speech before his address to the nation.
Somalia is just terrible. A lot of people say it's the worst country anywhere in the world. They have no money, no nothing. They have no government. They have no police. They just shoot each other all day long. It's just pure bedlam. Probably the worst, most dangerous country. We have some beauties. They go to Minnesota, and they stole $19 billion. $19 billion. And they're low IQ. Generally, I mean, I can generalize.
Okay, let's break down this first point. They're stupid, okay? They have low IQs, but they managed to fuck you over and steal $19 billion. So who's stupid? Even if that was true, wouldn't that make you the fucking moron? Wouldn't that make you look stupid that you allowed these low IQ individuals to steal $19 billion from you? I don't know. In my opinion, it makes him look pretty bad.
Well, I say low IQ people. They're bad people. They have 94% unemployment. In other words, they don't want to work.
Bullshit.
You know, get a lot of jobs available, right, with the economy. They don't want to work. Why would they work? And they sold more Mercedes-Benzes than any state in the union because they come here with no money and they go out, they love a Mercedes-Benz, and they go out and buy Mercedes-Benzes. And I think you're going to get to the bottom of it real easy, and every one of them should be. And Ilhan Omar, who married her husband, married her brother became her husband. When she has to check a book, she says, any brothers? One. Any husband? One. She checks 2 people. So on top of everything else, she gets a double income tax cut.
No, bro, what the fuck are you saying? None of this is true. She did not marry her brother. Okay? And she doesn't get, even if that was true, she wouldn't get a double income tax exemption. Are you saying that incest and marrying your family members in Minnesota allows you to get a tax exempt status? What? Who listens to this guy talk and goes, that's my guy. That's my guy.
She's a stone cold crook, and everybody knows it. And the papers, they have one paper out in particular. The guy made a living writing about her, and I spoke to him. He said, but nobody does anything about it, sir. All you have to do is get his writings from the Indianapolis Star or whatever paper he works for. You don't even have to do anything. This guy spent 10 years investigating that crook, and you got to do something about it, or our people are going to they're already upset. Takes too long. So JD, you go do it. And Rob,
I don't even know who the fuck he's talking about. This was reposted by Mehdi.
Got drunk at an event at a bar and chanted, "Kill all Muslims." Another colleague, not anonymous, we have this, said that you took coworkers to a strip club. You were drunk. You tried to dance with strippers. You had to be held off the stage. And one of your employees in that event filed a sexual harassment charge as a result of it. Now, I know you deny these things, but isn't that the kind of behavior that, if true, would be disqualifying?
That face is the face of somebody who knows they're guilty of that.
Senator, anonymous false charges.
They're not anonymous. And I'll just conclude and say this to the chairman. You claim that this was all anonymous. We have seen records with names attached to all of these, including the name of your own mother. So don't make this into some anonymous press thing.
Jesus, why is the end so fucking loud? I don't know who he's talking about as far as like the reporter that he referenced, the one that apparently did so much digging on Ilhan Omar. I don't really know what he's saying when it comes to that. I mean, I imagine he's just making shit up. He also said the Indianapolis Star. Does he think that Indianapolis is in Minneapolis? Is in Minnesota? Huh? I don't know. I can't spend too much time thinking about it because my brain will leak out of my ears. So, Medhi also reposted this video. We don't have to watch the whole video because I just want to watch some fucking Christian nationalist, white nationalist fucks pray. This is Franklin Graham. He's the son of Billy Graham, who is probably one of the most famous and successful evangelical preachers in United States history. He was revered by a lot of people. He's very big in Charlotte. There's lots of stuff named after him here. But he says, "Let us pray, Father. You tell us in the book of Esther that the Persians, the Iranians," and he clarifies that, "were wanting to kill every Jew and do it all in one day. Today, the Iranians, the wicked regime of this government, wants to kill every Jew and destroy them with atomic fire. But you have raised up President Trump." Now, they believe that Trump is anointed by God in order to bring about the apocalypse and Armageddon. We have military commanders that are saying this to their troops. Mehdi asks, sorry, which country is run by messianic religious fanatics and nutcases? Was it Iran or the U.S.? Because that's a great point, because look at Pete Hegseth and what he said, that this is a holy war, that countries that focus on apocalyptic, prophetic ideologies can't possess nuclear weapons, when that's the United States through and through. Here's Trump talking yesterday about this opening the Strait of Hormuz.
The problem with the Strait is they can have one terrorist there with a machine gun someplace, and they'll say, oh, it's not totally clean, So let them do it. Let France do it. They get a lot of oil from the Strait.
One machine gun. What?
Let the European countries do it. Let South Korea, who was not helpful to us, by the way. Let South Korea, we only have 45,000 soldiers.
Gee, I wonder why South Korea was not helpful to us in this conflict. I wonder why. Yeah, it's really racking my brain.
Harm's way over there right next to a nuclear force. Let South Korea do it. Let Japan do it. They get 90% of their oil from the Strait. Let China do it. Let them all do it.
Why would China do
it for? All I want to
China's
do is
getting through the Strait of Hormuz, dumbass.
Have a nuclear weapon. And the other thing, this was not part of what I wanted to do. Why should we?
So he started this. Obviously, the Strait of Hormuz was not closed before the war started. He started the war, and then the Strait of Hormuz closed, and now he's like, yeah, this is not my fucking problem. I didn't want to have to deal with this. I didn't want to have to deal with the Strait of Hormuz being closed. That's not what I went there for. Well, tough shit. You started this war. You got to finish it, brother. So then last night he gave a speech. Oh, and then I want to cover this last one from his speech beforehand, because the speech last night was pretty lackluster. He didn't really say that much that was very consequential as far as like anything changing. The biggest things were how the markets reacted while he was talking, how futures slipped down a $500 billion in 25 minutes. Over $500 billion lost in 25 minutes. Now, I'm not somebody who's like, oh, we need to save the stock market. We should protect the stock market at all costs. Fuck the stock market. I think it should be abolished. I don't think it should exist at all. It's literally like an infinite money glitch for people with lots of money already. They just use their money as leverage to make themselves more money and consolidate more capital for themselves away from poor working people who suffer on the labor end of that, right? All of these companies are public companies that are worried about their shareholders and making sure that their stock price is high so that shareholders get good dividends and good payouts. And the number one ways to do that are to sacrifice labor protections, cut jobs, diminish the quality of product that is being sold to the general public. So not only do workers and the working class suffer in that sense, but consumers also suffer too, because you have these things that, are slowly degraded in order to keep up shareholder income, essentially. But this is Trump talking about how we can't take care of daycare. We can't do anything Medicare or Medicaid because we got wars to fight. Guys, we got wars to fight, guys. Duh. Pfft. Dumbass.
Because the United States can't take care of daycare. That has to be up to a state. We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare.
Why are we fighting wars?
You gotta let a state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it too. They should pay. They have to raise their taxes, but they should pay for it. And we could lower our taxes a little bit to them to make up. But it's not possible for us to take care of daycare, Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things. They can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. We have to take care of one thing: military protection, because the United States.
We already spend more on military budget than like the literally the next 20 something countries combined, dude. And most of those people are our allies, right? Whatever that means nowadays. But who are we protecting ourselves from, right? We're fighting Iran, who can't meet us or can't reach us with missiles. They don't have the missile capability to even hit our country, right? They don't have nuclear submarines. Who else are we fighting? I mean, we are on the front with Israel, who's fighting Lebanon. Lebanon has nothing. They didn't want to start any war with the United States. We're not in any immediate danger or imminent threat from Lebanon. So why the fuck would we need to spend more than, all right, let's look this up. I want to look this up, see if I can find it. U.S. defense budget. That's not how you spell budget. Budget versus other major countries. The United States spends more on defense than the next 9 countries combined. Here we go. So here's a little graph to make it make sense. The United States spends more on defense than the next 9 countries combined. $997 billion. Okay, that was the 2024 military budget. Then we have China, Russia, Germany, India, UK, Saudi Arabia, Ukraine, France, and Japan. Okay? China is a trading ally. They're not necessarily a military ally. Russia, obviously, is one of the only names that sticks out on there that is we're actively fighting on multiple fronts, right? Germany, India, UK, Saudi Arabia, Ukraine, France, and Japan, all allies, militarily and economically, right? Who are we protecting ourselves from? Who? Are we worried that China's going to invade us? That's a suicide mission. It doesn't work. It's not. It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't take hold at all. The United States is ginormous. In order for them to even control a fraction of it, they would have to send millions and millions and millions of troops here. Okay? We would see it coming from a very long way away because it takes China a long time to get here. Even if they were to send nuclear subs off our coast and try and hit us with atomic weapons, they make most of their money off of us. We buy all their shit. They own our debt. They used to buy our trash. So who the fuck are we protecting ourselves from? We're not. U.S. defense spending and how much that we spend on it is not about protecting us. It's about enriching weapons contractors and other companies and organizations that have contracts through the State Department and through the government as a whole, right? You have the Pentagon not being able to pass an audit in 8 fucking years. The last 8 audits, they've failed. So, again, everything that we talk about on this channel always boils down to who's making money from it. Why is it there? It's there because somebody's making money from it. And if you take it away, you'll probably get got. So, all right, let's look at. I think I only saved one video of him talking from last night, because I really don't care to cover what he said. It was a nothing burger. It was pretty pointless. I think he was more forced into giving this speech to kind of ease people's fears, and it did the exact opposite. It really did the exact opposite. Let's listen to him malfunction like a Furby.
They're the bully no longer. This is a true investment in your children and your grandchildren's future. The whole world is watching, and they can't leave the power, strength, and brilliance. They just can't believe what they're seeing. They leave it to your imagination, but they can't believe what they're seeing. The brilliance of the United States military. Tonight, every American can look forward to a day when we are finally free from the wickedness of Iranian aggression and the specter of nuclear blackmail. Because of the actions we have taken, we are on the cusp of ending Iran's sinister threat to America and the world. And I'll tell you, the world is watching. And when we do, when it's all over, the United States will be safer, stronger, more prosperous, and greater than it has ever been before. May God bless the men and women of the United States Armed Forces, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much, and good night.
Fucking wild, dude. Wow. Okay. Interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Now, with all this happening in Iran, right? Trying to ease fears. His attempts had the exact opposite effect. Okay. You can literally time the drop off from during his speech. 50 points off the S&P. $550 billion lost in market cap while he was talking. Oh yeah, this is the other video that I did save was him talking about Here we go. Breaking: S&P futures race 550 billion in market cap in 25 minutes as President Trump delivers his address to the nation on the Iran war. Gold and silver prices collapsing. Look at that. Down over $200 in 25 minutes. Silver down $6, but that's a lot for silver. Silver doesn't usually get over 100. Back in February, we were sitting at, I think gold was over 5,000 per ounce. Per troy ounce. And now it's lost almost $1,000 off of its highs. Now you could say that's because people have more faith in the dollar, right? Gold tends to go up when people have less faith in the dollar. But where it is now, year over year. So let's put this in perspective. I proposed to my wife in 2015. Okay, I bought a ring. Or I made a ring. I had a ring commissioned and built for her, custom made. And the ring itself, the amount of gold that it cost to make that ring was about $200. I think it was like $250. Now that was the cost of the gold. That was the cost to make the ring, to build it, to mold it or whatever, and how they were gonna do it. I'm not sure of the process. I don't know. The other day, I went and sold some jewelry because gold was over $5,000 a troy ounce. And I had some jewelry that was just sitting around that we weren't using anymore. And I was like, well, we could probably get some good money for it. And I was going to redesign my wife's engagement ring because apparently I fucked up when I got it made. And she wanted a flat band, and I got her a round band. So she wants to get it changed, and we've wanted to get it changed for a while, and we got to get it resized and all that stuff. And so I said, why don't we look at what I have to trade in, and let's see how much it would cost to make a new ring or remake this ring or whatever. It was $1,700. $1,700 from $200 10 years ago. That's 6 times as much. That's 7, almost 8 times as much of an increase in cost, which is that's craziness. In 10 years. All right, let's listen to him talk about how countries should go get their own oil.
So to those countries that can't get fuel, many of which refused to get involved in the decapitation of Iran, we had to do it ourselves. I have a suggestion. Number one, buy oil from the United States of America. We have plenty. We have so much. And number two, build up some delayed courage.
We don't.
Should have done it before. Should have done it with us, as we asked. Go to the Strait and just take it, protect it, use it for yourselves. Iran has been essentially decimated.
No, it hasn't.
The hard part is done, so it should be easy. And in any event, when this conflict is over, the Strait will open up naturally. It'll just open up naturally. They're going to want to be able to sell oil because that's all they have to try and rebuild. It will resume the flowing, and the gas prices will rapidly come back down.
Thank you for the follow, my dude. Appreciate it, man. Nice to see you.
Didn't come down very much, frankly. They came down a little bit, but they've had some very good days over the last couple of days.
Crazy. So the Strait will just open up. It's so easy. It'll just open up. How does that make sense? If it was so easy, why don't you just open it up? He says that, in the other press briefing where the media was in the Oval Office asking him questions the other day, they asked him how he planned on bringing the oil prices down. He says, well, all I have to do is just leave Iran. I just have to leave Iran and everything will be fine. And it'll just open back up naturally. That is such bullshit. That would not happen at all. That's not how it works. Iran is in total control of the Strait of Hormuz. They didn't even have total control of it before the war. And we've essentially handed them the keys to it. So if anything, we've strengthened Iran's position. Now, this is after his speech last night, too. You can see WTI crude shot up like $4 or $5 per barrel. Yeah, I got to make sure I do these Google Docs, otherwise this is not going to work. I don't remember where everything is, and I'm just going to keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Here's Senator Lindsey Graham talking about destroying stuff that allows Iran to function as a nation, which is a war crime.
They have 2 or 3 weeks, Senator. That's too.
What I learned tonight, Iran's going to have a choice in 2 to 3 weeks. You either do a deal where you get out of the business you're in, or we're going to blow your stuff up that will allow you to function as a nation. That is your choice.
Well, let me ask this, because, by the way, I don't even think they have 2 or 3 weeks, Senator. That's 2 or 3 weeks when their infrastructure would be blown up. That's their electric grid. That is their ability to have any income. The lifeblood of their entire economy is oil. So that would no longer exist. Let me ask.
What I learned tonight, Iran's going to have a choice in 2.
That's wild. Just openly talking about war crimes on national television. I mean, obviously, you're talking to the fucking ghoul Sean Hannity. I mean, he's out of his fucking mind. In case you missed, every Army base and Army National Guard base in America was training and testing a Black Hawk and Apaches today. Everyone. Normal when you're definitely not invading a country, right? We're talking about, oh, this is going to end, and he's saying this is going to end in the next 2 to 3 weeks. How? How is that going to happen when we have all of these military bases testing and working on Black Hawk and Apache missions? If you remember seeing any videos from like Vietnam, the Gulf War, those are 2 of the vehicles that we use a lot to invade countries en masse. But these are also countries that don't have the military capability of Iran. If you remember the movie, what was it, Black Hawk Down? It's going to be a lot of that if we decide to do this in Iran. It's not going to work that way. Even though Trump likes to say, oh, it's one dude with a machine gun that's standing on the beach defending the entire country. That's not true. These are heavily armored and heavily militarized islands and shorelines that protect Iran. Let's see if I saved the one about with the map to give you an idea of what it looks like. I think I did. When I tell you, dude, there's so much news. This is what I'm talking about. Did I not save it? I guess I didn't save it. Jesus, dude. So many posts. Okay, let's talk about Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio just explained why America attacked Iran. The goal was never to stop an active nuclear program. The goal was to destroy Iran's conventional missiles and drones, their shield. So that if Iran ever pursued nuclear weapons in the future, America could stop them. A preemptive war against a future hypothetical, Joe Kent confirmed. 18 intelligence agencies said Iran had no nuclear weapons program. Gabbard couldn't say under oath they were weeks away. Rubio just confirmed that the nuclear threat was potential, not present. 14 Americans dead, $21 billion spent, 175 schoolgirls killed. The Strait closed. Iran's missile stockpile still 67% intact. They started a war today for a threat they imagined tomorrow. I'm amazed at how much this man has become an actual puppet for Trump. And how much he's willing to just help commit war crimes and regurgitate all of the lies and propaganda that Trump is spewing when, I mean, I can't say he's been a stalwart defender of democracy, but he's been a pretty vocal critic of Trump over the year. And then all these people get in these positions of power and they just forget, or they just stop having any type of like spine against Trump, and they just capitulate to anything that he says, anything that he wants them to do.
Many Americans are asking, why did the United States have to attack Iran now? Well, let me explain. Iran wants to have nuclear weapons. Of that, there is zero doubt. If what they truly wanted, which is what they claim, is nuclear energy, well, they could have nuclear energy like all the other countries in the world have it. And that is, you import the fuel and you build reactors above ground. That's not what Iran has done. They build their reactors and their facilities deep in mountains, away from the public glare. And they want to enrich that material. The same equipment that they could use to enrich material for energy, they could use to quickly enrich it to weapons grade. So it is clear that they've been offered every opportunity to have a nuclear program that allows them to have energy, not weapons, and every single time they have turned it down. But why the attack now? Well, what was Iran trying to do? Iran was trying to build a conventional shield, in essence, have so many missiles, have so many drones that no one could attack them, and they were well on their way. We were on the verge of an Iran that had so many missiles and so many drones that no one could do anything about their nuclear weapons program in the future. That was an intolerable risk. Under no circumstances can a country run by radical Shia clerics with an apocalyptic vision of the future.
Why does it matter if they're Shia? It's okay if it's Christians doing it. It's okay if it's Jews doing it. That's fine, but it can't be Shia. It can't be Muslims. God forbid. We allow religious freedom to be able to practice nuclear fucking warfare, right? Nuclear armament so that they don't get attacked by nuclear powers. Okay? Let's talk about Hassan for a second. The Hassan doctrine, right? What is it? If you get nukes, right? If you don't have nukes and you're accused of getting nukes, get nukes immediately. And then if you have nukes, don't give up your nukes, right? Why would we attack Iran? There was a great little meme I saw, and it's like that scene from Breaking Bad where he's saying, you know, it's like, oh, we're going to attack Iran. Why? Because they have nukes. Well, why not attack Russia? Are you crazy? They have nukes. It's like, it's such an moronic statement. It's just such an idiot idea. It makes zero sense. They're just talking out of their asses.
Ever possess nuclear weapons, and under no circumstances can they be allowed to hide and protect that program and their ambitions behind a shield of missiles and drones that no one can do anything about. This was our last best chance to eliminate that conventional threat, that conventional shield that they were trying to build, and the president made the right decision to wipe it out now. That is the goal of this operation, to destroy their conventional missiles and their drone program so they can't hide behind it and finally have to deal with the world seriously about never, ever having nuclear weapons.
What a fucking cunt. Listen, I don't think anyone should have nuclear weapons. I don't think nuclear weapons should be a fucking thing. I believe heavily in nuclear proliferation, right? We should get rid of all of the nuclear weapons. They should not be an option on the table. You know, it created the Cold War because you have mutually assured destruction should there be nuclear war, okay? And that has stopped us from having a full-on world war like World War I, World War II. So, you know, that is what they're, you know, primarily used for, is basically being like, okay, well, don't attack us, otherwise we're going to hit you with a nuclear weapon. It's like, well, okay, if you hit us with a nuclear weapon, we're going to hit you with a nuclear weapon. Okay. So let's agree not to attack each other. So it does keep people at peace, but we have all of these, you know, you could have computer glitches, you could have hijackers, you could have invasions of other armies going in and taking over nuclear sites. You know, if these things fall into the hands of bad actors, i.e. maybe the United States and Israel, or Russia, or North Korea, that has been waiting to press the fucking button. They want to, dude. They're like itching so hard. Kim Jong-un is you know, what's the meme? Refresh the page. Refresh the page. They haven't said anything. Refresh the page. Right? He's dying to get involved in this. He said that if the United States does a ground invasion in Iran, North Korea is going to send troops to help defend them. Russia will probably send troops to help defend them, even though they're spread pretty thin and losing some territory in the Ukraine. You know, Iran wouldn't be fighting this war alone, whereas our only allies on the ground in the Middle East, Israel, that got us into this fucking mess, have said the IOF, and they will not be the IOF, the IDF, whatever you want to call them, they will not be sending any ground forces. The United States would have to do it on their own, right? Terrifying reality check on CNN. A top international correspondent confirms Iran is battering Washington's allies in the Gulf, dropping oil revenues to zero. He predicts Iran will emerge vastly stronger and in total control. Total defeat for the Pentagon. Let's watch this.
Didn't put much stead in the public remarks of President Trump because they don't reliably reflect what actually happens. And they went on to say this reflects a trait of him, that he is eccentric and you know, unpredictable, which of course we all know. But I mean, there's been a physical response as well to this speech in the region, with alarms going off and missiles and drones being launched by Iran across the region, particularly at the United Arab Emirates. Within the past few minutes, we've had those reports coming in of attacks from Iran again against those surrounding Gulf Arab states that have been so terribly battered in the course of the past month or so since this Iran war began. These are energy-rich countries that depend almost entirely on energy exports for their survival, and they've seen those revenues because of the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz and because of the attacks on the energy infrastructure absolutely sort of devastated, dropping from billions of dollars a day in some cases to close to zero. And so we're looking at an existential economic crisis for this region. And there was very little in terms of reassurance in that speech by President Trump. He talked about potentially escalating the conflict, at least continuing it. Certainly there was no word on when this conflict would come to a conclusion. And in so much as he did address that, I think we're all left with the impression that at the end of this conflict, we could see an Iran which is strengthened strategically, that will keep the Strait of Hormuz under its control, and possibly even have the capability to have ballistic missiles and even a nuclear program at the end of this war. And so that's very alarming for the countries in this region.
All right. This is last night after the... no, this is before the speech, I believe. I just want to remind you that back in 1980, during the Iran-Iraq War, 8 days in Iraq, 8 days in, Iraq asked for a ceasefire. Iran rejected it. It waited 8 years, turned down 6 more ceasefire requests. It took 8 years to get Iran to agree to a ceasefire. The president throws around ceasefire as if he can just will it into happening. That is not who we're dealing with. They're ready for a much longer battle. I don't know if Trump is aware of that, but they are ready. Let's watch this video.
Who knows what kind of games he's playing with this propaganda, and that's what it is. But I just want to remind folks, like, the 30,000-foot view here is Iran is very prepared for a long war of attrition. They've been preparing for 20 years. Let's pretend we did all the things that Scott laid out, and I think those are all great, great goals. I just want to remind you that back in 1980, during the Iran-Iraq war, 8 days in, Iraq asked for a ceasefire. Iran rejected it. It waited 8 years, turned down 6 more ceasefire requests, some during Ramadan, before it finally caved, before its weapons and economy were finally degraded enough, and Iraq was threatening chemical weapons attacks. It took 8 years to get Iran to agree to a ceasefire. The president throws around ceasefire as if he can just will it into happening. That is not who we're dealing with. And to Lulu's point, I don't know what he's read about this bad actor, but there are plenty of people who know what Iran is capable of, and it's more than just what we're seeing now. And they're ready for a much longer battle. I don't know if Trump is aware of that, but they are ready.
He has been saying.
I mean, they've openly stated, you know, like a kung fu move. Come on, homie. Come on. We're gonna kick your ass. I really wish I saved the freaking map, dude. I don't know why I didn't save the fucking map. Let's see if I can find it. Where is it? Damn. Damn it! Damut! Alright, let's keep going. Okay, here's a good video from Natasha Tarak talking about Trump saying that he's just going to give up essentially on the Strait of Hormuz. He's okay with ending the war without fixing the Strait of Hormuz problem because it's not a U.S. problem. Right, it's other countries' problem because they get their energy and they get their oil from the Strait of Hormuz. We have so much oil. We got so much oil. You should buy it from us. We don't have a lot of oil. We actually don't produce a ton of oil to export. We import almost all of our oil. So the extra oil that we do have to use, not a U.S. problem. Yeah, okay. Tell that to Callie, who is at $6 a gallon. This is true. This is true. I mean, listen, I'm not saying he's right. I'm just saying this is how he's seeing it, is that it's not a U.S. issue because he thinks that we produce all of our own oil. The oil that we produce in this country isn't refined here. It's exported somewhere else. So the oil that we produce for ourselves, we don't use. We import the oil that we use. We actually produce a surplus of natural gas. A lot of it, actually. And we don't really use much of that either. I mean, we do use it a little bit at our energy plants, but a lot of what we use is still coal. So yeah. So I mean, yes, you're right, dude. Of course it's our problem. I literally said earlier I paid $4 a gallon yesterday. I haven't paid $4 a gallon in like 4 years. And the last time I filled up, it was like $2.50. Isn't there some rumor going around that they're going to reduce the purity of the gas? Yes, they've I forgot who it was, but they said that essentially they're going to lower restrictions on E10 and E15 gas. So that's ethanol. That's the percentage of ethanol in the gas. E15, your car will still run on it if it's like 2001 or newer. So most tanks will run on it, but it is more corrosive if you don't have a flex fuel engine. So while you can run it on the short term, that's what they're hoping, right? We reduce the restrictions on that. Then people can use that. It'll keep the price of gas lower because they're using shittier gas essentially. And then once we can get the good gas back, they'll put the restrictions back on the E15. Yeah, sweet. Love that for us. Yeah, dude, my car's an 05. I don't think I can handle E15, but I think they have to state it, though, when you go. I think they have to be very transparent about what it is, because right now I'm pretty sure it has to be below 10%. So, like, E10 is kind of like the highest we go. I guess I should start looking on Marketplace for a bike. I mean, honestly, dude, I've been trying, like, I don't have the means to take on a car payment, but if I were to buy any car in anytime soon, I would buy a pre-2012 flex fuel engine, because anything post 2012, like around like 2014, 2015, you start getting into a lot of the computers, right? The start-stop engines when you're at the lights, those wear down your fucking starter so much because your car has to keep restarting. One of my mechanics that I go to literally drove a car that had the start-stop ignition, or like the start-stop transmission or whatever the fuck when you pull up to the light, and it just kept stalling out on him, and he thought the car was like breaking down. This is an auto mechanic that was just like, nah, fuck that. They don't drive anything newer than like 2016. So flex fuel engines are your best bet, I think, and I think they do make bikes. If you're talking about motorcycles, I think they do make motorcycles that run flex fuel. Otherwise, you're going to be biking around in Maine? I don't know. Is it still cold up there? I haven't been to Maine in years, dude. A push bike? Yeah, we're getting snow? No way! That's crazy. Bro, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's nuts. Snow today? Wow. Bro, it's April. I mean, I can't really say anything. I had a baseball game snowed out in June in New York, so I get it. Yeah, and it was 70 earlier this week too. Global warming, baby. Gotta thank that global warming. Oh man, that sounds like Charlotte too. Right, it's not real. Yeah, it's definitely not real. That's some Charlotte wild swings there. 70. It's like it'll get up to 80, and I think last night it was like 42 degrees. It's like a 40-degree switch. I didn't realize it was that bad in Maine too. I thought we just had that fun in Charlotte. Man. Anyway. All right, let's watch this video from Natasha Tarak.
Deal with reopening that vital Strait of Hormuz. Trump also has said that he might end the war in Iran without opening the strait, whose closure has created the largest energy supply shock in history. Could he actually do that? The answer is yes, but it'll have big consequences for him and for the rest of the world that's already feeling the pain of the fast-growing global energy crisis. And I mean crisis. It's already hitting Asia the hardest, but is swiftly making its way across the globe. The Philippines has already declared a national state of emergency. That's 120 million people, as it imports 98% of its oil from the Middle East. Asia as a whole imports 60% of its oil from the Middle East, and most of that comes through the Strait of Hormuz. South Korea is telling its citizens to take shorter showers. Sri Lanka has made Wednesdays a public holiday to cut down the work week. Laos has slashed its school week to just 3 days. Thailand's government is urging people to take the stairs instead of elevators and to wear short-sleeve shirts to work to use less air conditioning. Here in the UAE, we had long lines at gas stations yesterday because today the price of petrol jumped by 30% and diesel went up by 70%. Diesel is what trucks run on, meaning all your goods that are transported by truck,
how dare
they're going to
you
get more expensive.
How dare you tell me to take shorter showers?
More than 30%, and in the US, up almost 40%. Multiple countries have introduced fuel rationing. Slovenia became the first EU country to do this, as oil and gas prices in Europe are 60 to 70% higher than they were before the war. The International Energy Agency is urging people to work from home, take the bus, and drive more slowly to preserve gas. And your airfare is about to get a lot more expensive as jet fuel supplies take hits. Here's what's really important. Even if the war ends tomorrow, energy prices won't just go back to normal. They'll stay high for a while. I'm gonna make a separate video explaining why, because this one is already too long. So back to Trump. The logic behind walking away from the strait is that reopening it militarily could be a lengthy and bloody endeavor for US troops. And other countries might pick up the slack. Trump is also betting that Iran might reopen the strait anyway, as that would be beneficial for its oil revenues. But right now, Iran is actually making money off of the situation. It's charging some ships $2 million for safe passage, while now being able to sell its oil at these super high prices ever since the US lifted sanctions on its oil back in March. So Tehran might keep its chokehold over the strait just for leverage to get its demands met. Meanwhile, gas prices in the US are up 35%, the highest they've been since 2022. Inflation is set to rise, and the midterm elections are this year. So Trump can walk away from the Strait of Hormuz, but he can't necessarily walk away from the consequences.
Of course, as we're
Go
talking
get
about
your
this,
own
right?
Oil. That's what President.
My wife just texted me and said she needs to get gas. Oh no. We're not going to be able to pay rent now. She's got to fill up her car? Oh, Lord. Can I borrow some money from someone? Better take out a loan. Straight up, dude. I don't know. You said take shorter showers, too. I don't know if you were here earlier, Robbie, when I was talking about. They shut off our water again now for the second day in a row at our apartment complex because of a water main break, essentially, underground. So I have been without water all morning, and I wasn't able to take a shower. I feel disgusting. I can't even imagine what it would be like to live in a country where, or in a situation where like you can't take a shower every day. Stanky boy. That's me. That's me through and through. I don't know. God, it like threw off my whole day. I just feel like my day hasn't even started because I wasn't able to take a shower. It's so strange. All right. Some new numbers from Lebanon real quick. We're up to 1,300 people killed. Unfortunately, you're not going to get any cleaner jumping in Lake Norman. Oh yeah, there's a small muddy ass pond behind my house. Maybe that'll help. We got 1,300 people dead in Lebanon right now. Almost 4,000 wounded. 91 women, 125 kids. That's awesome. That's crazy. And Israel has kept up its promise that it will stay long after the conflict is over. They have destroyed 20 medical and ambulatory centers. Number of attacks on EMS, 82, and 5 hospitals have been closed. That's as of yesterday. According to figures cited today by the New York Times, U.S. Israeli forces have killed 2,924 civilians in Lebanon and Iran since the Trump and Netanyahu regimes launched their second war of aggression in Iran. Iran, by contrast, is said to have killed 67 civilians in Israel and the Gulf region. So according to figures cited by the New York Times, the civilian death toll caused by the U.S. Israeli forces is 44 times higher than the civilian death toll caused by Iran. Yet we're supposed to believe that Iran is targeting civilians and that the U.S. and Israel are not targeting civilians. The U.S. and Israeli regimes also claim with a straight face that their airstrikes are precise, but that Iran's missile and drone attacks are indiscriminate. They're taking us for fools. So this is according to the New York Times here. Human rights activist news agency said at least 1,606 civilians have been killed, including 244 children in Iran since the war began. Lebanon's health ministry said more than 1,318 Lebanese have been killed as of Wednesday, with more than 3,900 others wounded since the latest fighting between Israel and Hezbollah began. In Iran, in Iran's attacks across the Middle East, at least 50 people have been killed in Gulf nations. In Israel, at least 17 have been killed as of Friday. The American death toll stands at 13 service members, with hundreds wounded. And if we try and take any of their border on the Gulf, try and go in on any of those islands, we're going to lose a lot more people a lot faster too, very, very quickly. Oh, this was a really fun thing to read. Since Trump was elected, Sergey Brin became $89 billion richer. Isn't that fun? Under a 5% wealth tax, he'd pay $11.5 billion more in taxes. 3 million people in California wouldn't lose their health care, and Brin would still be $77.5 billion richer than he was on November 5th, 2024. 3 words: tax the rich. So this Sergey Brin is the co-founder of Google. He spent $45 million to stop California wealth tax. He's worth $222 billion and doesn't want to pay 5% of that to fund healthcare in his own state. This is a video from More Perfect Union. I don't have time to watch the whole thing. Actually, I do. I have time to watch it. It's fine. Let's watch it.
In January of this year, Google co-founder Sergey Brin made his first major political donation. After he wrote a $20 million check to start a new super PAC, more million-dollar checks started flowing in from other Silicon Valley heavyweights. So what was it about this moment that moved Brin to get involved in politics for the first time? Why?
Welcome, everybody.
Mr. Brin, you are worth $245 billion. Start paying your fair share of taxes.
I mean, the crazy thing about this whole, like Bernie and AOC going to these, on all of these like rallies and stuff and talking about the wealth inequality in the United States, they're getting crowds of thousands of people in deep, deep red districts and states, dude. This is a universal, across the United States issue. People do not like billionaires. They want to tax the billionaires. They understand the wealth gap. They understand the disparity that they're feeling, the pinch they're feeling at the grocery store, the pinch they're feeling at the gas station. Apparently you guys didn't, but that's it's why do we have to keep repeating this? Why do we have to keep beating this dead horse? You know what I mean? Is there nothing we can fucking do?
Tax on billionaires living in California is gaining national attention.
I mean, how many yachts do you need? They just keep getting wealthier and wealthier, and us on the bottom are just getting stuck with more debt.
When Sergey Brin wrote that $20 million check, he was responding to an unprecedented political moment.
We will deliver universal child care for the many by taxing the wealthiest few.
At a moment of skyrocketing costs for healthcare, utilities, and groceries, a group of labor unions in California are making a bet with huge stakes.
The 214 or 15 billionaires in California collectively have $2.2 trillion worth of wealth, which is just an unimaginable amount of money. What we've proposed is a one-time 5% tax on their worldwide assets that will produce $100 billion.
So we went to California to find out, is a wealth tax key to solving the state's problems? Or is it the first domino that could take down the 4th largest economy in the world?
You would see a significant reduction in taxes because taxpayers will move.
Shut up, you dumb bitch. That's not proven.
Tell us about the problems our country faces.
Billionaires make that up so they don't have to pay more in taxes.
At first glance, an elementary school outside of Boston might seem like a strange place to go to better understand a wealth tax in California. But once you understand what's going on here, it becomes more clear.
8 years ago, school breakfast was stigmatized. Our breakfast program, we serve maybe 2% of students.
But on this day in Watertown, Massachusetts, just outside Boston, Every kid gets free breakfast. Same with lunch, and same at every public school across the state.
Here you go, Caitlin. Hi, Francesca. Hi, good, how are you?
That's because back in 2022, the state's voters approved a ballot initiative called the Fair Share Amendment.
The proposal would require people who make over $1 million to pay 4% more in state income tax.
Across the state, 2 free meals a day at school are saving millions of families money on groceries. Better trains and buses and tuition-free community college are lowering their transportation and education bills. All of it paid for with the millionaire's tax.
Every year when Massachusetts reaffirms that we're having a free breakfast and free lunch, I breathe a sigh of relief.
Everybody in Massachusetts who was a lobbyist and a spokesperson for the wealthy, they said, oh, we're going to see an exodus, a mass exodus of the wealthy.
And these guys are going to say, okay, I'm going to go to Florida instead of staying in Massachusetts.
And it's a very legit concern.
So Massachusetts doesn't want to position itself in a way that our tax code is an impediment to economic growth.
Well, guess what? There was no mass exodus.
In fact, the number of millionaires in Massachusetts actually grew close to 40% in
So it went
the 2
up.
years after the amendment passed. Now, this same argument is being recycled in California.
It's the California gold rush in reverse.
Just talking about it is sending billionaires running.
Some reportedly ready to move their businesses and their money across the country to Florida.
This is an exodus, isn't it?
You're not for a wealth tax in the state of California.
You can't isolate yourself from the 49 others. We're in a competitive environment.
Unlike the Massachusetts tax, the California proposal would tax wealth, not income. And it would apply to a much smaller group of people, the 200-odd billionaires in the state. It's also a response to one of the largest wealth transfers in the country's history.
I've been a healthcare worker for 57 years. This is the worst threat that I've ever seen.
When President Trump signed the legislation, the world changed.
Trump's signature on this bill redirected billions of dollars from Medicaid into the pockets of billionaires and corporations. So that money is now sitting in the investment portfolios of billionaires like Mark Zuckerberg and Sergey Brin instead of paying doctors and nurses and care flight pilots. It's not lowering monthly premiums for low-income folks who are dropping out of the pool and making premiums go up for the rest of us.
So I'm a phlebotomist. What brings me here today is it's pretty simple, to prevent a healthcare collapse.
In California, the cuts amount to $100 billion over 5 years.
I look back at what happened at COVID.
This ICU is over capacity.
Mass graves for those who can't afford a funeral.
It would be like seeing something of COVID, but...
And we all watched that, and we have just collectively forgotten that it happened. We were digging mass graves for our own citizens dying from a disease that was pretty much preventable. And we just forgot like it even happened. It just doesn't exist in our minds anymore. Collective trauma.
Permanent.
The Antelope Valley Medical Center has already had to close its public health clinic in response to this routing of billions from Medicare to billionaires' pockets.
If the ER closes in one town, the next town's ER is going to be overcrowded. Well, it turns out we're all in this together.
So we are in uncharted territory, and that's an unprecedented situation. Nobody has ever had to manage that before.
You can't just manufacture the dollars out of thin air. Ultimately, we are all going to pay. It is higher amounts we spend for doctor's visits, it's higher co-pays, it's higher insurance costs. It comes out of all of our pockets, one way or another.
So there's this crisis, and the question facing California was, what are you going to do about it?
If not asking the richest among us to pay, what do we do?
Well, we do. California has the most progressive tax structure in the United States of America.
There are billionaires who are sitting on equity who don't sell it
We have
and who are paying a
billionaires
lower tax rate.
that are paying those progressive taxes. We have the highest progressive tax rate in the United States of America.
It is true, California has relatively high personal income taxes. Those are meaningless to billionaires.
The income that you earn at your job, or that I earn by going out in public and begging strangers to talk to me.
We're working on a video about the billionaire tax. Do you guys want to talk about it? Do you want to talk about it? You guys want to talk about it?
No, not really.
Okay. Hey guys.
You
I know
can
how
see
she
how much of
feels.
it comes out every paycheck in the form of state income taxes. We can also definitely see the impact of taxes on gas and other necessities.
I might move to out of state because we have to pay taxes for everything. Gas on it is taxed. Everything.
I'm hearing you say it's that the tax burden right now is falling on working people too much.
Pretty much, that's what they're doing to us.
But billionaires like Mark Zuckerberg, they get paid differently. He famously takes a $1 annual salary from Facebook, but he mostly gets paid in the form of shares of his company's stock. And if he never sells those shares, he never has to pay taxes on them. Same with most other billionaires in California. Despite holding nearly $2 trillion in wealth, the state's billionaires only contribute about 2.5% of the state's income tax base. The vast majority of their wealth is sitting in their investment portfolios untaxed. California could raise the top income tax rate to 95% and never touch that money. That is the point of a wealth tax. In California, it would be a one-time 5% tax on an individual's net worth if it's over $1 billion. And it can be helpful to deal in physical objects here since these fortunes are so huge. This is a super yacht. One of these costs about $500 million. If Mark Zuckerberg were to convert his entire fortune into super yachts, he would have 444.6 of them. If the wealth tax passes, Zuckerberg would be left with a measly 422 super yachts. In the 4 odd months it took for me to research, report, travel, and produce this video, Mark Zuckerberg's wealth, just sitting in its investment portfolio, has already grown by the amount he would be asked to pay.
5% if they're billionaires. When their wealth is growing 7% a year is almost a rounding error.
But many of these billionaires are still spending millions to try to defeat this tax, and already taking steps to try to get out of it.
Businesses are fleeing California.
And it's going to cause a mass exodus.
This wealth tax is having a huge impact on people fleeing to Florida.
It's a badly drafted effort. It's already had an outsized impact on this state.
Okay, to be clear, we're talking about 6 people. 6 billionaires who have told reporters that they either purchased real estate or incorporated LLCs outside of California. Plus, the proposal covers any billionaire who was a resident of California as of January 1st this year. So if they haven't taken steps already, it's too late. Recent polling shows that a majority of Californians favor the tax, but also that they're concerned that they will have to fit the bill if the billionaires flee. And the measure's opponents are spending millions to try to push this scare tactic to the public. It's an argument that sounds pretty similar to that of the governor, Gavin Newsom, and there might be a reason for that. Former Google CEO Eric Schmidt, Tony Zhu, CEO of DoorDash, Patrick Collison, CEO of Stripe. These billionaires have all contributed the maximum amount to Gavin Newsom's campaigns in previous cycles, as have other California billionaires like Reed Hastings, co-founder of Netflix, who also incidentally cut a $250,000 check to stop Zohran Mamdani from becoming mayor of New York. Taxing the ultra-rich was a huge part of Mamdani's campaign, and California billionaires took notice and started spending to try to stop him. Now, those same billionaires are counting on their years-long investment in Gavin Newsom. And it looks like it's paying off.
What does compromise look like to you?
I don't know what there is to compromise.
Altogether, Newsom has received financial support from 50 of the state's billionaires and their spouses. And in a state with roughly 200 billionaires, that's not a drop in the bucket. As Newsom positions himself as a 2028 presidential contender, those same billionaires are now funding that effort through a couple of newly formed federal PACs. A sizable portion of Newsom's billionaire backers come from the tech sector, which is an important part of California's economy.
Your home is beautiful.
Thank you.
Do you think that you guys would also too leave California if the billionaire tax passed?
I think that is our big fear. It's sort of the nightmare. We're kind of going through the phases of denial, acceptance, grief, however you call it.
These guys are betting that
These people are fucking delusional, dude. They're billionaires. They couldn't even spend their wealth in their own lifetime on conventional means. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? It's a nightmare. I might not be able to buy another yacht. I may not be able to buy a chateau or whatever the fuck. Bro, fuck you. Fuck you, you piece of shit.
doom and gloom projections about billionaire founders being forced to sell their super voting shares and potentially losing control of their companies will be enough to scare voters into rejecting the proposal.
It shouldn't be too difficult if on paper you're worth several $1 billion to come up with your tax payment without, selling shares or doing some dramatic.
There's even a special provision for startups that would allow their founders to delay paying the tax until after their company goes public.
We're trying to make it as easy and reasonable as possible. We're not trying to cause a liquidity problem for these billionaires. We're not trying to cause them to sell shares when they don't want to. We're just trying to use reasonable modern tools in order to close a gap.
Human rights! And sure, billionaire-backed PACs are already spending big to try to defeat this proposal. But the billionaire class solidarity might not be as strong as you'd think. This is an interview with Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA and one of the California billionaires who would be subject to the wealth tax.
Is it something that's of concern to you?
I gotta tell you, I haven't thought about it even once. We work in Silicon Valley because that's where the talent pool is, and whatever taxes I guess they would like to apply, so be it. I'm perfectly fine with it. It never crossed my mind once.
For Huang, a one-time 5% tax is a small price to pay to live in a region where his business can recruit the most highly skilled workers. It's a perspective that mirrors that of the working Californians who I spoke with.
Billionaires are making their money off the backs of our public infrastructure. And so we need to make sure that they are paying their fair share for the resources that they are using.
They are making a lot of revenue on workers and working families in the state. And if they cannot help with the 5% to help the workers that are making their businesses thrive, then see you later.
Why are we doing this? We are doing this because on July 4th of last year, President Trump signed a piece of legislation that's going to take $1 trillion out of the U.S. healthcare system. And that money is being moved to the richest people in the country.
Affordable healthcare, universal childcare, free school meals for every kid. These are not radical concepts. They're part of everyday life in many parts of the world. But it took decades of work and 5 failed attempts before the millionaire's tax became a reality in Massachusetts. Billionaire PACs are already pouring money into California to defeat this proposal. These things do not just become a part of everyday life. Not without a fight.
So it's crazy that, the guy from NVIDIA is saying, I don't give a fuck, 5%, I don't give a fuck. His company is valued at $4.2 trillion. His company is valued at $4.2 trillion. That's like, what, eight times less than the GDP of the United States in a year. Like, he's worth so much money. His company is worth so much money. And it's only positioned to grow. So, in my opinion, either these billionaires get okay with paying a 5% wealth tax, and we use that as a tool. Otherwise, there's another tool that can be used that's actually not a modern tool. It was made a few hundred years ago to deal with some people in France. So either pay the money that you're hoarding, distribute the wealth that you have that you're hoarding to people that fucking need it. Otherwise, you're probably not going to have a head for much longer, right? It's going to be French Revolution time in America, okay? Because there's only so long before workers are going to be like, we're not going to work for you, and We don't support your existence on this planet any longer. I don't know. Just a thought. Just a passing thought. Okay, here is Yanis Varoufakis talking about that Iran is the only country in the region that has not invaded its neighbors. He brilliantly exposed how Israel's brutal 1982 invasion of Lebanon literally created Hezbollah. The Western media narrative is dead.
Iran is the only country that has not invaded any of its neighbors. It was invaded brutally by Iraq. That invasion saw 600,000 people die in Iran. Chemical weapons were used with the acknowledgement of support or, turning a blind eye of the West. The Houthis, the Hamas, the Hezbollah, partisans, guerrillas, call them terrorists, call them whatever you want. I don't call them terrorists. That Iran did support, where they are how shall I put it? They are movements that sprang out of many years of mishandling of the Middle East, let's put it very mildly, by the West. I mean, Hezbollah would never have happened. It would never have existed if Israel had not brutally invaded Lebanon in 1982. And then the Iranians supported them and funded them. Now, do you consider Hezbollah to be terrorists? Well, if you come from the Israeli side, yes. If you come from the Shiite population of South Lebanon, you consider them to be a lifeline. So, let's be nuanced about that.
Yeah. Everybody acts like all of this that's happening right now is in a vacuum, and then it just started and it's brand new and it's never happened before and there's no precedent for it, and it's completely random and it's bullshit, dude. Trump administration, according to Dropsite News, planning international summit to counter Antifa. That's fun. The Trump administration is organizing an international summit tentatively scheduled for June or July to convene officials from multiple nations to share intelligence and coordinate strategies against Antifa, which is not an organization, and related left-wing groups, Reuters reports. I did see a good, let's see, oh yeah. Will it be held at MSG to keep up with the tradition? You guys know what this is? Do you know what this is a picture of? This is the last time there was a Nazi rally, a straight up legit billed as Nazi rally in New York City at Madison Square Garden. This is back in the 30s, I believe, 30s or 40s. 14 defining characteristics of fascism: powerful and continuing nationalism, disdain for the recognition of human rights, identification of enemies, scapegoats as a unifying cause, supremacy of the military, rampant sexism, controlled mass media, obsession with national security, religion and government are intertwined, corporate power is protected, labor power is suppressed, disdain for intellectuals and the arts, obsession with crime and punishment, rapid cronyism, and corruption, and fraudulent elections. Okay, it seems like we're already kind of there on most of this stuff. This is a great post right here. Okay, so we have a video of Marco Rubio. If now we've reached a point where the NATO alliance means that we can't use those bases to defend American interests, then NATO is a one-way street. Then why are we NATO? We're going to have to re-examine that relationship. It's a decision for the president. Okay? Let's see if I can expand this. U.S. law, section 1250A of the fiscal year 2024, prohibits the president from unilaterally withdrawing from NATO without 2/3 Senate approval or an act of Congress. And guess who sponsored this bill? Marco fucking Rubio. How crazy. These people have no positions. They have zero convictions. They will change their minds and their policies and everything they believe in at the drop of a fucking hat. Okay? They are not worth listening to. They are just talking fucking heads. But we're going to listen to him talk.
Let me ask you about NATO. You said that our NATO allies have been disappointing. Specifically, I know you're talking about Spain, Great Britain, France, even Italy now, and that after all of this is done, we will re-examine this relationship, and especially when it comes to, we pay 2/3 of the freight when it comes to NATO defense, and if it's just, quote, about us defending Europe, you said, at this point, how do we call that? And we can't have our landing rights in European nations, our allies, at a time when we need them. What good is that alliance? And is the NATO alliance at risk?
Sean, I've been one of the strongest defenders of NATO during my time as a United States Senator because I found great value in it. And it wasn't just about defending Europe. I said it also allowed us to have military bases in Europe that allowed us to project power into different parts of the world when our national security was threatened. If now we have reached a point where the NATO alliance means that we can't use those bases, that in fact, that we can no longer use those bases to defend America's interests, then NATO is a one-way street. Then NATO is simply about us having troops in Europe to defend Europe, but when we need their help, not their help, we're not asking them to conduct airstrikes. When we need them to allow us to use their military bases, their answer is no. Then why are we in NATO? You have to ask that question. Why do we have billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars, over the years, trillions of dollars, and all these American forces stationed in the region? If we can only use, in our time of need, we're not going to be allowed to use those bases. So I think there's no doubt, unfortunately, after this conflict is concluded, we are going to have to re-examine that relationship. We're going to have to re-examine the value of NATO and that alliance for our country. Ultimately, that's a decision for the president to make, and he'll have to make it. We're going to finish the job here. As I said, we're very, very close to achieving our objectives on all of these things that I've outlined. But I do think, unfortunately, we are going to have to re-examine whether or not this alliance that has served this country well for a while is still serving that purpose, or is it now become a one-way street where America is simply in a position to defend Europe, but when we need the help of our allies, they're going to deny us basing rights and they're going to deny us overflight? I think these are very legitimate questions that we need to be asking, and this are going to have to be very carefully examined after this conflict is.
I just want to say, I'm going to talk real quietly, guys, because I don't want Marco Rubio to hear me. These are actually military grade listening antenna. When we talk about a $1 trillion budget for the Pentagon, where do you think a lot of that money goes towards? It goes to Marco Rubio's ears, okay? Continuous upgrades, constant maintenance, right? Preventative maintenance. And each year, his ears grow on average 8%. That's fucking crazy, dude. Anyway. Just a reminder that the senator who sponsored the bill, which became law with broad bipartisan support, states a president cannot pull us out of NATO without congressional approval was Marco Rubio. Spineless, feckless piece of shit. Iran warns if Palestinian prisoners are executed, Israeli and American prisoners held in Iran, Lebanon, and Iraq will also be executed. That's awesome. That's great. That's great for everybody. Please, let's stop. Can we just stop doing this? Okay, here's our here is our military showing off their extraordinary capabilities. A $100 million jet deployed to stop a $20,000 drone. If you're wondering how we racked up $40 trillion in debt while losing wars over and over and over again, here's your answer. Crazy footage of a U.S. F-15 fighter jet attempting to intercept an Iran Shahed drone over Erbil, but failing. The drone successfully strikes its target, the British Castrol oil warehouses. So you got the drone right here, the F-16. We just throw money at every single problem that we have, and then when we need to actually throw money at problems that we actually have, like housing, healthcare, education, it's not available. We just don't have it. Sorry, guys. We just don't have it. Okay. If Americans could read 4 whole pages of text, we wouldn't be in this situation in the first place. So this was released by the president of Iran. Ninth president of the Islamic Republic of Iran. I know I fucking change the way I say Iran and Iran all the time, but it's just so ingrained in my stupid American accent. To the people of the United States, to all those who amid a flood of distortions and manufactured narratives continue to seek the truth and aspire to be to a better life. Iran, by this very name, character, and identity, is one of the oldest continuous civilizations in human history. Despite its historical and geographical advantages at various times, Iran has never, in its modern history, chosen the path of aggression, expansion, colonialism, or domination. Even after enduring occupation, invasion, and sustained pressure from global powers, and despite possessing military superiority over many of its neighbors, Iran has never initiated a war. Yet, it has resolutely and bravely repelled those who have attacked it. The Iranian people harbor no enmity toward other nations, including the people of America, Europe, or neighboring countries. Even in the face of repeated foreign interventions and pressure throughout their proud history, Iranians have consistently drawn a clear distinction between governments and the peoples they govern. This is a deeply rooted principle in Iranian culture and collective consciousness, not a temporary political stance. For this reason, portraying Iran as a threat is neither consistent with a historical reality nor with present-day observable facts. Such a perception is the product of political and economic whims of the powerful, the need to manufacture an enemy in order to justify pressure, maintain military dominance, sustain the arms industry, and control strategic markets. In such an environment, if a threat does not exist, it is invented. Within this same framework, the United States has concentrated the largest number of its forces, bases, and military capabilities around Iran, a country that, at least since the founding of the United States, has never initiated a war. Recent American aggressions launched from these very bases have demonstrated how threatening a military presence truly is. Naturally, no country confronted with such conditions would forego strengthening its defensive capabilities. What Iran has done and continues to do is a measured response grounded in legitimate self-defense and by no means initiation of war or aggression. Relations between Iran and the United States were not originally hostile, and early interactions between the Iranian and American people were not marred with hostility or coup d'etat, an illegal American 1953 tension. The turning point, however, was the intervention aimed at preventing the nationalization of Iran's own resources, right? All of this started because BP wanted continuous access to their oil, and the United States and Britain basically declared war, and the CIA overthrew their country. That coup disrupted Iran's democratic process, reinstated dictatorship, and sowed deep distrust among Iranians towards U.S. policies. This distrust deepened further with America's support for the Shah's regime, its backing of Saddam Hussein during the imposed war of the 1980s, the imposition of the longest and most comprehensive sanctions in modern history, and ultimately unprovoked military aggression twice in the midst of negotiations against Iran. Yet all these pressures have failed to weaken Iran. On the contrary, the country has grown before the Islamic 30% stronger in many areas. Literacy rates have tripled. From roughly today, higher education has expanded dramatically. Significant 90% revolution to over advances have been achieved in modern technology. Healthcare services have improved, and infrastructure has developed at a pace and scale incomparable to the past. These are measurable, observable realities that stand independent of fabricated narratives. At the same time, the destructive and inhumane impact of sanctions, war, and aggression on the lives of the resilient Iranian people must not be underestimated. The continuation of military aggression and recent bombings profoundly affect people's lives, attitudes, and perspectives. This reflects a fundamental human truth. When war inflicts irreparable harm on lives, homes, cities, and futures, people will not remain indifferent towards those responsible. This raises a fundamental question. Exactly which of the American people's interests are truly being served by this war? Was there any objective threat from Iran to justify such behavior? Does the massacre of innocent children, the destruction of cancer treatment pharmaceutical facilities, or boasting about bombing a country back to the Stone Ages serve any purpose other than further damaging the United States' global standing? Iran pursued negotiations, reached an agreement, and fulfilled all its commitments. The decision to withdraw from that agreement, escalate toward confrontation, and launch 2 acts of aggression in the midst of negotiations were destructive choices made by the U.S. government, choices that serve the delusion of a foreign aggressor. Attacking Iran's vital infrastructure, including energy and industrial facilities, directly targets the Iranian people. Beyond constituting a war crime, such actions carry consequences that extend far beyond Iran's borders. They generate instability, increase human and economic costs, and perpetuate cycles of tension, planting seeds of resentment that will endure for years. Where was I? This is not a demonstration of strength. It is a sign of strategic bewilderment and an inability to achieve sustainable solution. Is it not also the case that America has entered this aggression as a proxy for Israel, influenced and manipulated by that regime? Is it not true that Israel, by manufacturing an Iranian threat, seeks to divert global attention away from its crimes towards the Palestinians, and the United States away from its crimes in the Epstein files? Is it not evident that Israel now aims to fight Iran to the last American soldier and the last American taxpayer dollar, shifting the burden of its delusions onto Iran, the region, and the United States itself in pursuit of illegitimate interest? Is America first truly among the priorities of the U.S. government today? I invite you to look beyond the machinery of misinformation, an integral part of this aggression, and instead speak with those who have visited Iran. Observe the many accomplished Iranian immigrants educated in Iran who now teach and conduct research at the world's most prestigious universities or contribute to the most advanced technology firms in the West. Do these realities align with the distortions you are being told about Iran and its people? Today, the world stands at a crossroads. Continuing along the path of confrontation is more costly and futile than ever before. The choice between confrontation and engagement is both real and consequential. Its outcomes will shape the future of generations to come. Throughout its millennia, a proud history, Iran has outlasted many aggressors. All that remains of them are tarnished names in history, while Iran endures resilient, dignified, and proud. What a fucking speech! What a deliverance of exactly what will happen to the United States should we continue to try and destroy this country, right? We've done a pretty decent job so far, unfortunately, but I don't think it's in the cards for the United States on the long-term, global stage. We are a declining empire. We are in our 250th year. Ironically, it's this year. Okay? It's just ridiculous, dude. Okay. I'm gonna scroll down a little farther because there's some other stuff that I wanted. Oh, this is great. Breaking: DOJ announces FARA enforcement against AIPAC. In an unexpected move this evening. Oh no. It was an April Fool's joke? You sons of bitches. Oh, man, I was so excited. I saw that last night. I was like, no fucking way, dude. We're about to so the FARA, F-A-R-A, Foreign Agents Registration Act. AIPAC is not registered as a foreign agent, even though they represent Israel, which is a foreign country. Oh, this is a good video from our pollster. Was it Harry? Oh, Harry Enton. I was gonna say Compton. I wanted to say his name. Sorry,
and Jimmy Carter on the board, and you're. This is no April Fool's joke. This is a disaster. All these numbers are a disaster for President Trump. I mean, let's just talk about inflation, which is the name of the game. Okay, highest disapprovals on inflation about this time in a presidency. Whenever you have Joe Biden and Jimmy Carter on the board and you're matching them or slightly exceeding them when it comes to inflation, you know it's bad. Look at this. 72% in our latest CNN poll say they disapprove of the president on inflation. Joe Biden, an average of polls at this point in his presidency, 68%. And Jimmy Carter, whose presidency, just like Joe Biden's, was absolutely wrecked by inflation, was at 66% about at this point in his presidency back in 1978. Donald Trump, even worse than they are. So you see it here, and the one word is, or phrase I might say is, oh my goodness gracious, what a disaster.
And just what's so interesting here is inflation was way higher.
Yes.
So they just, right now, voters don't like what the president is doing on it, even if it isn't as high as it was at these other times. What about gas prices?
What about gas prices, which of course is part of this inflation picture, only making this number climb ever higher? How about disapprove on gas prices? Okay, disapproval ratings on gas prices. Biden's worst number, his worst number in any poll I could find, was 72% disapprove of Joe Biden on gas prices. Donald Trump right now in our CNN poll, 76%. 76%. 3 in 4 Americans disapprove of the way that Donald Trump is handling gas prices. And again, the gas prices were higher during Biden, but the increase has been so dramatic. Under the last month under Donald Trump, we're talking about an increase of about $1. It's the highest increase that we've seen since at least 1991 in terms of raw dollars. No wonder this number is so high. He is beating or doing even worse than Joe Biden was on gas prices, which of course was such a major issue.
So talk about his disapproval on the economy. Put it in historical perspective.
Okay, so you see the gas prices here, disaster. You see the inflation here, disaster. How about the economy? You know, you mentioned it was the worst in terms of the approval rating for Donald Trump in any poll we've conducted. How about highest disapprovals on the economy about this point in term 2? Look at this. These are the worst. In our poll, 69% disapproved of Donald Trump on the economy. For George W. Bush, it was 57% in terms of the average. Barack Obama, 56%. Donald Trump is crushing him on a metric you don't want to be crushing anybody on, which is disapproval ratings on the economy. He's double digits worse. I was looking at some other polling data, also above the 57 and 56%. The worst of all time at this point in term number 2. It's the economy dragging Trump down, being, of course, accelerated by inflation being so bad. And, of course, the gas prices just adding up. It's like a pancake tower, and you're just reaching the top. And this is not a tower you want to climb.
One of the things you deal with when you deal with economic sentiment is how people feel things are going to be. So what are the prediction markets saying about where they see inflation going?
Yeah, where does the Kalshi prediction market say that we're going on inflation? Chance CPI year over year is above 4%. Oh, wow. In any month in 2026, 64%. That would be for the first time since 2023. So the inflation tower that we're going up, it seems like there are more steps on a stairway, certainly not to heaven, more like hell if you're the president of the United States.
Yeah, I mean, the White House certainly doesn't want their predictions to be right about this. That's clear. Harriet, and thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend.
All right. So we already know that Trump's obviously very unpopular right now, but his numbers are outrageously bad. Yesterday, the the House Republicans caved on the DHS funding bill. So they've agreed to pass the Senate bill to fund DHS except for ICE and CBP that unanimously passed a week ago, right? In the Senate, they had passed this bill, and then Speaker Johnson basically shot it down and said, we're not even gonna vote on it, right? There's no way. This is Chuck Schumer. This is the Democrats. They got to take responsibility. Senator Thune was not responsible for this, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, so TSA agents will finally get their paychecks. So happy for them. Yeah, they are owed $1 billion in back wages right now, so that's pretty cool. Pretty sick. Okay, this is another good one. It's from NBC yesterday. More than 400 hospitals across the U.S. are at high risk of closing or cutting services because of the Medicaid cuts in President Trump's big, beautiful bill, according to an analysis from the progressive watchdog group Public Citizen. Democrats need to go dark woke on this immediately. Every hospital and clinic that closes should have a massive 4-story sign that says, "This hospital is closed because of the Republican big, beautiful bill vote in December." The fallout could make it harder for millions of people to get care and put thousands of healthcare workers' jobs at risk as hospitals lose a key source of federal funding. Medicaid covers about a fifth of all hospital spending. The Medicaid cuts came in phases, with more significant changes, including work requirements in 2027 and limits on how states raise funds in 2028. Overall, the law is expected to reduce the federal Medicaid funding by roughly $1 trillion over the next decade. And we just heard that guy say that's all being funneled to the tippy top 1%. All of Trump's homies. Oh, this was one of the proposed military operations. Oh, fuck off. Read this article. I'm pretty sure I already have it. Let's see if that works. Okay, sign me in then. I don't remember what my fucking password is. All right, we'll just look at the post. The high-risk plan to seize Iran's uranium in a commando raid that would require building a runway in Iran and dropping in excavation equipment amid incoming fire came at Trump's request, signaling his interest in the complex operation. They would need to build a runway? I don't even know how that's possible. I do know that we can build bridges really fast, but I don't know about runways. Okay. Can't overstate the impact that's coming down the pipeline to truckers, farmers, logistics, and beyond. The U.S. economy runs on diesel, with several states setting all-time highs for diesel, while others are seeing the largest monthly increase of all time. So according to Gas Buddy, we are 67% up in diesel prices in Arizona, 58% in Nevada, 58% in North Carolina, 56% in Tennessee, and so forth and so on. I'm in North Carolina here, and we're paying on average $5.59 for diesel. Now, diesel runs everything, right? It is almost all of our food is delivered by trucks to superstores or to grocery stores. Walmart supercenters, all that kind of stuff. So that's going to raise prices. This affects everything. It affects every aspect of our economy. Oh, this is funny. Maybe not funny, but I think it's funny. U.S. embassies to coordinate with Pentagon PSYOPs unit and Elon Musk. Secretary of State Marco Rubio signed a cable Monday ordering all U.S. embassies and consulates worldwide to run coordinated campaigns against what it called foreign anti-American propaganda, according to The Guardian. Embassies are instructed to recruit local influencers, academics, and community leaders to spread messaging that appears locally driven rather than directed by Washington. The cable also promotes X's Community Notes feature as a crowdsourced way to counter anti-American narratives without compromising free speech or privacy. The directive tells diplomats to work with the U.S.'s military psychological operations unit and use X, owned by Elon Musk, as a key tool, describing it as an innovative way to counter disinformation. Now, this is all in response to this guy's post the other day. Okay, he stated, Marco Rubio stated, the reason why Cuba doesn't have oil or fuel is because they want it for free. Cuba is a disaster because their economic system doesn't work, which is a lie. They don't want their oil for free. I mean, I could think anybody would want their oil for free, but they don't get it for free. That's not how it operates. It's just a lie. This guy, Wyatt Reed, he had reposted the post saying, in January, Trump signed Executive Order 14380, placing harsh tariffs on any country caught directly or indirectly supplying oil to Cuba in February when a Greek-flagged tanker tried to bring 80,000 barrels from Colombia to Cuba. The U.S. Coast Guard intercepted it. The same day my viral tweet debunking Marco Rubio's Cuba lies was used to community note the State Department, Rubio issued a memo directing U.S. diplomats to work with the military PSYOP unit to use X's Community Notes feature to counter anti-American propaganda. These people are so butthurt, and they are on way too online. Way too online, dude. You need to get the fuck offline. You are the government. Like, isn't there more important work to be done? Right? Aren't there other brown kids in other countries that need to be bombed or some shit? No, you're just focusing on this. What a bunch of 12-year-olds, dude. Seriously, a bunch of children. Okay. I got about 10 more minutes and then I gotta get out of here. There's still so much that I haven't even touched on. Wait, I think, was this the... No, this is not it. Was the map in this post, though? I'm still thinking about that map from earlier that I wanted to pull up, but I'm not sure. Okay. There's so much. There's so much. Okay, last thing I'm going to talk about, then I'm going to go. I got to go make lunch and get ready. I covered the Prism strike. We watched a video about the Prism strike on the sports training facility. A first look at the apparent tungsten pellet from the U.S. strikes on Lamerd, February 28th. Prism is designed to detonate above target and disperse thousands of these pellets outward. Our analysis showed they killed at least 21 people, including girls who were at volleyball practice. So essentially, it's like a shotgun shell, a tungsten shotgun shell that that hits scattered pellets to try and, cause as much damage as possible. Look at this. Tungsten is insanely hard. It's very light, though. It's not super heavy. In large quantities, it can be super heavy, but like individually, tungsten is pretty light but very durable. And it's relatively cheap, I believe. So this is a 4-meter long rocket motor, advanced GPS antenna, and then the warhead. This explodes above the area, kind of like a nuclear weapon does, or like an EMP blast. Uncle Sam shreds kids at volleyball with tungsten pellets from prism bombs detonating above Lemerd to shred 21 souls. Precision my foot. Just mass murder rebranded. Who's buying this barbarity? Yeah, so I had posted a video of me talking about it and kind of just like reacting to the news about that. And I've had people leaving comments being like, it wasn't a precision missile. It was a fucking tomahawk. Everyone knows it was a tomahawk. And it's like, bro, we're not talking about the same incident. This is another incident. This is a different one that happened. This is not our first. This is not our only, and it will not be our last. Right? As well, that this will not be my last stream. I will be back on Saturday. I'll probably go for a good amount of time on Saturday to try and get some of these other headlines that I still wanted to go over from the week. So I'm just going to stick to the Microsoft Doc or the Google Doc outlines that I've been doing with all my links. It's the best way to keep my thoughts like in order so I can talk about everything. Yeah. Anyway, I appreciate y'all hanging out. Thanks for the extra follow today. We're up to 35. We started 3 weeks ago. We've doubled the amount of followers in 3 weeks, so I appreciate everybody. Tell your friends. Spread the message far and wide. We're hanging out Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays every week, talking all kinds of news, everything that's going on, trying to hit as many things that the mainstream media is not hitting. So if you're seeing this later and you're not following the channel, please think about giving the channel a follow. I'm still waiting on my first subscription. We got the goal on the screen. If you have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe to the channel by using your free Twitch Prime subscription. You get one free Twitch Prime subscription a month. It doesn't cost you any extra money. You can use it for free. So yeah, I appreciate everybody who was here. Thanks to Robbie for holding up the chat for me. Thank you again. And I will see y'all on Saturday. Let's see who we're gonna raid today. Oh, let's check out this guy.
Baghdad Bob, hilarious. Okay, all right. So there we go. Bye, Pam. Bye, Pam. We love you, Pam. That's okay, Jazznaz. We love you, Pam. You're the best. All right. I'm sure she'll have a nice, cushy job in corporate America or some legal office right after this, as the revolving door tends to allow. Okay. Matt Saigai, if birthright citizenship revoked, is everyone who was born in the U.S. going to be retroactively lose their citizenship? It might, Matt Saigai. Depends on how the Supreme Court rules on it. It depends. Honestly. Lacroix agreed. Hello, it's Chits McGee. Hello, welcome. Thank you for raiding. Thank you for the raid. Love having you here. Okay. All right. So isn't that good, Sam? You're classed as an immigrant, probably, Matt Saigai. And if I am, thank God, that'll definitely expedite my departure from the country. Can someone volunteer to let me be deported to your country? Like Sir Bart and Lurking Snow Leopard, do you mind if I'm deported there? Can I be deported to Canada or like deported to, I don't know, the UK? Would you guys mind if I was deported? What about Portugal? Do you guys mind if I get deported to Portugal? What about Brazil? I could move to Mexico. That's true. I don't really have any people there I know, though. So anyway, all right. Thank you for whoever just rated. It's Chits McGree, excuse me. So glad you're here. Yeah, I could go to Tehran. They actually might like me in Tehran. Well, no, they wouldn't, probably. As much as I love the Iranian people, I don't think I could be openly gay there. But still love them and respect them.
All right, later, everybody.